Okay, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan. I actually met you. You were in Indianapolis at a Days of the Dead convention, I think a year and a half or 2 years ago, and you're wonderful, and all those Twin Peaks hardcore fans love talking to you, and you're just really generous. And so I was really excited when Mike was like, oh, you want to talk to Sheryl? I'm like, oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate your kind words. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
So today they announced they announced it yesterday, but tickets on sale today for Twin Peaks 30th anniversary at Graceland coming up in April. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it'll be fun to see everybody again. It's trippy to me that it's at Graceland. I've never been there. So I'm as curious as everyone else is as to what will happen at that event. When I'm out at the screenings or conventions and I meet people, it is nice when we're able to go somewhere where we don't usually get to go and meet people. So I appreciate that as well, being able to go to parts of the country or cities that we haven't been to before.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about these screenings, kind of how the screenings of the movie and how that all got started? And
I've really enjoyed them because the Q&As, they're much longer and they're much more in-depth. And in a way, it feels, also because they're in theaters, there's something about it that almost feels more like a theatrical experience. And because doing it with Ray, who is such an incredible live performer, that each audience, it brings something different and has a different energy and has different questions. So every show is different, which I love. It keeps it alive in that way. So Mike asks us questions, and also the audience gets to ask us questions, and we have more time with each audience member after when we're signing than we usually would at, say, a convention or something. It's just, there's an intimacy to it and a live show feeling to it that makes it really fun.
Is it emotionally exhausting for you, considering like the subject matter?
Well, I appreciate your thoughtfulness in asking that question. I know going in, because of doing it enough now to know that there are a lot of sexual abuse survivors and incest survivors and rape survivors and physical abuse survivors out there that were touched by the Twin Peaks story. And so for me, when anyone shares with me what they've gone through, it means a lot to me. First off, the fact that they're able to voice it and talk about it means that they're in the place of healing with it. And the fact that they are trusting me enough I'm a total stranger to them, that they're sharing something so personal really moves me. So I don't think of it as exhausting. I just feel very touched by it. And also, there's this other part of me that's like, how can this be still happening so much? The statistics have not gone down in the 30 years since I've done the show. They've gone up. How is that possible? What are we missing as a culture, as a society? This is happening right under our noses all the time when you look at the statistics. And what can we do to pay more attention, watch the signs, figure out how to heal this and to stop it and to prevent it? And I don't have the answer, I think it's the answer has to be holistic in the sense that it comes from many, 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 many different pieces.
That's fantastic. I appreciate you answering that. I guess on a lighter note, how would you summarize like the whole Twin Peaks thing, from getting the phone call? Were you 19 or something with back at the pilot, and then up to today? What can you summarize it? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's been a wacky ride. There is no other way for me to say it than that. I can't believe it's gone on this long. I had no idea. I mean, first off, I was originally hired for only like 4 days as a corpse, and here we are 3 decades later. So who knew? Who knew what was going to happen with all that? The thing that I love so much about it is just that these incredible people that are in my life now because of it. You know, from David and Sabrina to all the actors and the crew that we've worked with, and, you know, to have known these artists for 3 decades and to continually, it's like when we have these events, whether it's the one at Graceland or whether it's the screenings, that I get to go play with them again is just delightful. That's a gift.
How would you explain Ray to people that might not be familiar?
Oh my gosh. Ray is a blast. He's so funny that sometimes he gets me laughing so hard I can hardly answer a question. He is an incredible showman. You know, I mean, he can do everything. He truly can do everything. As an actor, he can go from terrifying to seriously dramatic to hysterically funny in less than 30 seconds. His range is phenomenal. And then because he has also a background in live theater, when he's doing these screenings, that's there, that's present. And he's just, people just love meeting him, and he's just, I can't say enough great things about him. I'm a huge fan of his.
Did the return change your perception or feeling of the whole thing, or was it, you know how kind of Fire Walk with Me was different than the show, and the return was just as dramatically different? Do you just have any thoughts on the return or what you think about it?
I was in awe of what David did in the return. I will say that. Watching the episodes and seeing what he did, I was just as a fan of David's and of his artistic expression, I was just in awe of what he did. For me personally, it's a little bit hard to answer because I am hopefully growing and evolving as a person, which then hopefully makes me growing and evolving as an artist. So no matter what I watch, now I'm going to have a different perspective than I did 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Does that make sense? So I don't know which part of that is a personal part and which part is an artistic part directly related to Twin Peaks. He certainly took, as I know enough to never think that I know what David's going to do. You know what I mean? So when I heard that the return was happening, I knew that there was absolutely no way in the world that I could guess or predict or have any correct assumptions about what my storyline would be.
Right.
You know, I knew I would be surprised.
Some people think that the events in the return take away Laura's agency, or, you know, the Fire Walk with Me scene is Laura being a survivor, and, you know, she kind of makes her own decision to protect those around her and to die or to sacrifice herself, or however you want to look at it. And some people think that if in the return makes her more of arguably makes her more of a savior type figure or answer to creation of a higher power type thing. And does that take anything away from what she experienced in Fire Walk with Me? Is that too obtuse?
I don't know how people are interpreting everything unless someone tells me, because I'm not on social media or anything like that where I would hear these theories. So this is the first that I've ever heard this theory. I feel like I would need to really understand what the theory is a little bit better in order to answer that question. But I will say this, which is more of a broad answer. Everybody is going to interpret art in a different way. And we're going to interpret it possibly even in different ways within our own lifetime. So as far as I am concerned, any interpretation of a story is valid. It's wherever that person is at that point in their own life, and what issues are coming up for them, and where they are in their own life story. Then the film or the book or the painting is going to mirror something back to them, and it's going to be different for each person, and it may be different, like I said, at different times in our lives. So I don't know that really answers it, but I don't know what David's intention is, and we never will, which is part of what I love about him as a storyteller. I have to find my own meaning for my characters, and I do. But I love hearing all these different theories and ideas and questions, and I think it's interesting that people are having these conversations about what it all means.
What are your thoughts on the vampires experience and working with John Carpenter?
Well, John was really he was great to work with, because for me, even though it was a vampire film, I still have to find the truth of my character. I did a lot of research for that role, because to turn into a vampire, and John was great. We had wonderful creative conversations in terms of what does Katrina's storyline look like, and how does this happen? What does this mean? Because I personally don't have a reference in my own life for turning into a vampire. So finding the truth in that, finding the truth in her story, and what is that, and what is that like? So that was a wonderful creative challenge. And also, that was, I think, before CGI. So that was all stunt people. And that was, to be on a set like that with these incredible stunt people and just watching them every day, that for me was really new. That was my first time to see that. And I had so much fun watching that. I just wish so badly that I would have gotten to fly. I keep saying, please someone make a vampire movie or a witch movie and cast me so I can fly.
Do you have any thoughts on making Backbeat?
Oh my gosh. That was one of my favorite films to make. I loved working with the director. I loved working with all those actors, and we were shooting in Europe. And to play Astrid, and I wouldn't accept the role unless I had her blessing to do it, because it was such a personal story for her that just kind of felt like a sacred ground in someone's life. And she was wonderfully generous with her time, with me in person, and with Stephen Dorff and our director Ian Softly. And she let me go in and see all of her archives of photographs that some of them have never been published. So creatively, it was an incredible experience.
So Grace Zabriskie plays Sarah Palmer, and I know you guys did another movie, and you were mother and daughter.
Yeah, The Makings of You, which has not come out yet. I don't know why, but I wish it would. I'm a huge fan of Grace's. She's like Ray. Her range is phenomenal. I just think she's brilliant, and I feel incredibly lucky to have her as a friend and as a mentor. And everything she does, I learn from watching.
Sorry, this is kind of your cheesy, what do you look forward to when coming to Indiana question.
Well, here's the thing, is when we go to these cities, we don't get to see anything. Because it's like if we go for a convention, they put us up in a hotel by the airport, and that's pretty much all we see. So with these screenings, at least we get to see a theater.
Right.
And possibly, a restaurant outside of the hotel. So that would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it mostly is just like we talked about at the beginning, it's about meeting the people, because when you're acting on TV or in films, you don't get to have the full circle of the exchange of energy, right? That you do on stage. And so any chance that we get to go and actually meet the viewers and meet the fans and meet the humans, the hearts and souls, in all the different parts of the country or all the different cities, that's, I think, what we look forward to the most, because we don't really get to see that much of the city. I mean, who knows? This may be the last year that I'm able to do this. So I don't know, it's good to get out there and meet people while we can, right?
Absolutely.
You have a wonderful holiday season.
Yeah, you too. You too. See you in a couple weeks.